Shalom, Israel, shalom. This is the Deacon Hakas Sakari. We're going to address something today. When we're out on the highways and the byways, all the Israelite camps, and we're speaking about rebuilding our communities, and we talk about the social injustice, the reparations, holding the white man accountable to the chattel slavery, transatlantic slave trade. And they try to say, well, how do we benefit from slavery today? Every now and then you'll get a white man or a white woman that'll say, how do we benefit from slavery today? So let's get into it. I promise something. I'm going to show from where you graduated from college, from where you work, from where you bank, from where you get your health care, from where you buy your clothes, etc., etc. All these Fortune 5 companies and billion-dollar businesses all started and or profited significantly from slavery. But first and foremost, on the most simple and general level, you're benefiting off of slavery by being able to walk on American soil. Your ancestors coming and putting the Native Americans, our brown brothers, into captivity, in slavery, by putting them on concentration camps and calling it reservations, then having a Negro man coming to build this place up by chattel slavery so that you can walk on this soil. Now, the Irish white man or the Scottish white man will say, well, my family suffered persecution and fled to America and were called immigrants. Well, wait a minute. If your fellow white brothers didn't come over here and steal this land and have the Negro man built it by slavery, then you wouldn't have been able to flee persecution. Furthermore, you were called indentured servants and had rights, not chattel slavery. It's like you had a 400-year race in which 360 years the brown man and the black man were prohibited from racing, and in the latter part of the race when they were prohibited, they were given cement shoes. That's the head start that the white man had.
Lehman Brothers, billion-dollar investment banking company, started in the slave trade, profited significantly from slavery, meaning they found their fortune in slavery. Aetna Inc., insurance company, revenue of $63 billion, 37.9 million customers. USA's largest health insurer in the 1850s, insured the lives of slaves and reimbursed the slave owners when the slaves died. JP Morgan, which is now Chase, 2.49 trillion, gave loans to slave owners, with them using slaves as collateral. 13,000 slaves to be exact. They took ownership of the slaves when the owners defaulted on the payments. New York Life, $500 billion business, biggest life insurance company in America, put life insurance on slaves, $340 to $600, which is about $18,000 today. Their first 339 customers out of 1,000 were black slaves, estimated at $6 million today. Wachovia, which is now Wells Fargo, $1 trillion industry, owned slaves and accepted them as payment. Nathan M. Rothschild and Sons Bank in London, $1 trillion family and $1 trillion company. Slavery in British colonies, his first personal gains were by using his slaves as collateral. Norfolk Southern Railroad, billion-dollar railroad company, offered slave owners $180, which is today $4,000, a piece to rent for 1 year, valued slaves at $31K. Today, that would be $600,000. USA Today, founding parents were slave owners. It's now a billion-dollar newspaper company. CSX Railroad, same payments as the Norfolk Railroad, which they rented slaves and valued them at high prices and, of course, free labor. Flee Boston Financial, which is now Bank of America, a billion-dollar company, which was previously Providence Bank, owned by John Brown, a slave trader who owned ships to transport slaves, and he also helped charter Brown University. All these companies benefiting from slavery. Canadian National Railway Company said on record their slaves lost to 1865 emancipation cost them $200,000, which is today $2.2 million, benefited from slavery. So if you work at these places, if you bank at these places, if you have your health insurance at these places, if you ride on these railroads, you are benefiting from slavery. Next, Brown Brothers Harriman, billion-dollar business. They Both owned slaves, hundreds of slaves, and they financed the cotton economy by lending millions to slave owners. Brooke Brothers, billion-dollar company, sold slave clothing and got rich, made a fortune off of slavery. Barclays, a Britain multinational financial service company, billion-dollar company, participated in slavery and thrived and prospered. AIG, a $500 billion insurance company, insured slaves. Harvard Law School, a billion-dollar college, endowed with money from Isaac Royal Jr., a slave owner and sugar grower. Princeton University, by the 1700s, most students were sons of slave owners and slave traders. Also Yale, Penn, Columbia, Rutgers, Brown, Dartmouth, and University of Delaware. Tiffany & Co., billion-dollar diamond company, founded with profits from a cotton mill in Connecticut that pressed slave-grown cotton. So here it is, how it benefits the white American today. The companies they work for, the companies they bank with, the companies they buy from, and the companies that they're employed with all benefit from slavery.
I'm talking about bodies on bodies, we sleeping in feces. Bolo to bolo, they dropping us off. Separating the families and auctioning us off. Then it's to the plantation with yokes on our neck. We expected the worst and hope for the best. Bloody fingers from all of the cotton we pick. They ain't give us no breaks. Whenever we stop, we get whipped.
Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints.